Still on our main story today, we're being joined by a lecturer at the University of Johannesburg, Stanley Karambo, to discuss the passing of Zimbabwe's former president, Robert Mugabe. Mr. Stanley, thank you so much for joining us on Network Africa.
Thank you very much for having me.
So, Robert Mugabe means different things to different people. Some see him as a liberator and war hero, while some see him as a tyrant, I beg your pardon, and dictator. Who exactly, in your opinion, is Robert Mugabe?
It's very true that Robert Gabriel Mugabe meant different things to different people. It's true, but there is no doubt he was a colossal on the Zimbabwean stage. He was the person who brought the independence. He was the person who no doubt fought for the independence of the country. However, like anybody else, he had his own flaws. Soon after independence, there was the issue of Gukurahundi, where it is believed that more than 20,000 people were killed. But also, you have to take cognizance of the fact that Robert Mugabe educated his people. Robert Mugabe, the man, gave land to the majority of Zimbabweans, taking it from the minority white population. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Let me just put this in real quick. What do you think Zimbabweans will miss about him the most, and what lessons can the government of President Emmerson Mnangagwa learn from his life?
Well, I think there's not much the current government can learn from him, because the current president was with the former president for most of his life. So whatever he's doing now, he learned it from Mugabe.
All right, Stanley Karambo, a lecturer at the University of Johannesburg. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us on Network Africa. Now, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has been speaking on the attacks on foreign nationals in his country, and he's calling for calm. The South African president said in a state broadcast that there is no justification for the attacks, especially on fellow Africans who fought on the side of their country during the dark days of apartheid. He said his country is currently in mourning and pain, and that their African brothers do not deserve this form of treatment.
As I speak to you, the debris of several days of violence and looting continues to litter many of the streets of our country. People have lost their lives, and many have been injured. Families have been traumatized. Livelihoods have been destroyed. No amount of anger and frustration and grievance can justify such acts of wanton destruction and criminality. There can be no excuse for the attacks on the homes and businesses of foreign nationals, just as there can be no excuse whatsoever for xenophobia or any form of intolerance. The people from other countries on our continent stood with us in our darkest hours during the struggle against apartheid.
Meanwhile, President Ramaphosa has also confirmed that at least 10 people have been killed in the wave of riots and attacks, and only 2 of them are foreigners, with 300 arrests made. Meanwhile, women in South Africa are today staying away from work and schools. They're also calling on women to wear black in solidarity with women, girls and boys who've become victims of abuse. Every 3 hours, a woman is murdered in South Africa. On Thursday, female radio presenters at a commercial radio station in KwaZulu-Natal province staged a walkout over allegations of mistreatment and inappropriate sexual behavior towards women at the radio station. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa missed a session at the World Economic Forum on Africa briefing to address the crowd protesting against gender-based violence in Cape Town. This follows the death of a University of Cape Town student, Uyinene Mewetjana, who was raped and murdered, and one of a champion boxer, Lady Jigels, who was shot and killed by her boyfriend just last week. And as the country rages, the body of a young woman has been discovered in the Eastern Cape province, raped and stabbed to death in her bed. A debate has been sparked, with many on the side calling for the death penalty to be reinstated in South Africa. And the United Nations mission in South Sudan, in collaboration with the local authorities, have organized a concert in Yei to celebrate peace and promote reconciliation in the town. Residents participated in large masses, expressing their satisfaction with the peace that has finally come into the country that had been plagued in a 5-year civil war.
As the music echoed through the square, those reflecting upon the concert were hopeful that peace will remain this time in the country's southern region. Popular South Sudanese artist Emmanuel Kembe led the concert as he sang songs of peace, reconciliation, and nation building.
Peace, it's not something that we just sing and talk about. It's not something that we wish, but it's something that we work for. So the development that's happening in here now is really giving us sign that our people are ready for peace, no less than.
UNMISS had been conducting a series of peace events in Yei town and promoting peaceful coexistence among the civilians to ensure that peace prevails in the area, with the peace concert being the highlight of events.
I want to ask you to put in the back of your mind that to move forward, the bedrock is forgiveness. Once you forgive your neighbors, you can do anything else, because you will accept them as yourself and work together with them to move peace from the process forward.
A government official present at the event highlights the government's commitment to boost peace and agricultural sustainability.
As a commitment to peace, the government of Yei State will do everything within its power to ensure that the prevailing peaceful situation is further improved and consolidated at all costs.
UNMISS says events like this bring hope to communities torn by conflict, and even if briefly, allow those affected by the war to forget the trappings of conflict.
Well, that's it on the program. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Teniola Shoboali.